Well, it doesn't look pretty, but I'm welding it up every 1/8 inch here, spotting it in. Doesn't help that I've been having some issues with my old Miller welder here. Been wrestling with it for about a week. Hadn't been flowing gas properly. Ordered and changed out the valve in the back that lets the gas in. Then I changed the regulator. And then I changed the lead to the original lead. It's kind of settled down now, so I don't know which one of those things is actually it. But in the meantime, I didn't think I was going to get the parts in time for this weekend, so when I bought a cheapo welder off of a Craigslist type situation, and I checked it out as much as I could there. Looks like it's brand new practically. Hooked the gas up to this one here. Oh, she gives spark and all that stuff, and the wire runs out good, but guess what? This one doesn't flow gas either. But this one, unlike the other one, you can't change anything out. Everything's molded in. Anyway, so I hate spending all my time on tool repair, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Well, for a little distraction in between welding this every 1/8 of an inch along all these seams, over here I got it mostly ground off. There's a few seams in here. I still got to take care of this one and this one in here. I might get these two from the back side. I don't know. Most of these are done though, all the way around the perimeter. And down in here, on the back side, of course, did that first. Around here, finally got the welder to stop acting up to some degree. But I'll let things cool down a little bit in between spotting. And I went over here, made a commitment, got the quarter panel off of this car. So it's either keep doing what I'm doing now. See, up to right now, I could have unbolted anything I did over here and just bolted some Challenger stuff back on, painted it, and called it a day. But now I'm in the deep end of the pool, as they say. Here's what most Challenger owners don't know, except for Hellcat, the Demon owners. You got this little booby trap waiting for you over the years. This is a expandable foam that they put in here as a sound deadener. Now this is all through the bottom of these quarter panels, and also it runs through the rockers, which you got to be careful when you're cutting. You don't set this on fire, which I did with my Charger, and that was a fun day trying to get that completely out inside my door pillar. Anyway, that stuff right there, depending on the climate that you've got your car in, it absorbs moisture and it holds the moisture up against this inner skin, or the outer skin I should say, the inside of the outer skin. That's it. You'll learn English one of these days. Anyway, this is usually an area that will start to rust out on these Chargers, or Challengers, excuse me. Here I go again. Got to learn English. Anyway, that's just a little interesting factoid about all of these Challengers. They've got that little problem that sooner or later is going to crop up depending on how much moisture you have in your area where you have your car. For anybody who would be interested, this is the comparison of what the actual 71 bumper looks like compared to what I've done here to match the rendering of the car that I am building. And it's a little deceptive here because of where I'm sitting, the perspective. This is actually, from this point to this point, is actually narrower than this point to this point. But because I'm standing, because of the lens, and the oblique angle I'm standing at right here on the ladder, it appears that the lower bumper's wider, but it's not. It's actually, I set this one up on the car right after I got the headlights mounted to see what the proportions were. One of the main issues with this bumper, of course, at that time I wasn't going to do the rendering. I was going to try and just hang the 71 sheet metal on if I could find it all. And I started out with bumpers and quickly found out that using the headlights from the Challenger, you'll notice that the 71 has very round headlights, and the Challenger has like a flat top. Well, it comes into play with this arc. There's a slight arc in this bumper, and when you have the headlights mounted straight across as they want to be, mounted, and it just looks off. Also, if you take this bumper and move it all the way over to where the headlights, the Challenger headlights, will appear full in this opening here, they're almost out of the bumper on this side. And again, it's hard to see from this angle. The lower bumper appears to be bigger, but it's actually not. So there's quite a bit of difference here. And if you can see it from this angle, on the actual 71, there's a panel that goes between the hood and the bumper, and on the panel is all part of the bumper, so the hood ends here, but then the panel is taken in to a much cleaner looking transition. So this is a little bit deeper, these are a little bit closer to the center of to the headlights, and just there's enough overall differences that the actual bumper was not going to work to what I needed. But I just thought that if anybody was curious to see what the actual differences are between the original stock 71, 72 bumper and what I'm doing here by comparison, there it is. Thanks. Alright, as with the front fenders, I'm working a little bit on the quarter panel now. I've cut this detail out, which is the little return at the bottom of the quarter panel that goes in, and then it comes a little flat here and then goes back up. And so the next thing I have to do is turn this edge in, and it's a slow and laborious process. And I made up a special pair of pliers here, basically filing them off or grinding them off to this point here and putting a little piece of metal on one side, and from this point to the bottom is 1/2 of an inch, so that gives me a stop to where I can slide it up on the middle, and a little at a time it'll give me a 1/2 inch roll under here as I go along and create this lip underneath, trying to overlap the last pass. It takes several passes to go around and get this thing looking pretty decent, and then I'll hammer and dally it out. But I'll turn this pretty much 90 degrees to the world, so to speak, or level to the world, I should say. And this will give me a little rigidity to the panel. Without this, the whole panel flops around pretty good. I don't know if this will be my final trim or if I'll have to cut some more of this away for tire clearance, but that's basically what's going on here as far as that's concerned. And I've also cut the top of the panel away. You can see the top portion of the panel away because it's going to have to be spread away from this panel. This panel is going to have to be dropped down on the car. It's also going to have to be cut in the middle of this wheel opening, and then the two halves are going to have to be pushed together because this is much too wide now since I've cut this detail off. So that'll shorten the whole quarter panel probably about 3 to 4 inches, which will kind of match the overall look, which is quite a bit stubbier than the overhangs of the original 71, 72 Roadrunner. Okay, by bending this flange over, you've seen that I've taken a lot of the curve. See how this is nice and curved over here? It ends up taking the curve out of this panel. So I've taken the shrinker off the bench or the stand, and I have this handle that I made up that I can just bolt to the bottom of the shrinker. It's a bit cumbersome because it's really heavy, but this is going to allow me to take the shrinker and shrink this over and put that curve back in, hopefully. I'll see if I can show you what I'm talking about here. And you see it's got a little bit more curve to it now. And that's how I do that. Got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. This is the quarter panel sliced up and fit up to the car. As you can see down at the bottom here, it looks like it's crooked from this angle because it's pulled in on the door, but this establishes the height of the body line that's already in the character of the bottom of the quarter panel. There's about a 2-inch gap here where it had to be pulled down. It took out probably about 1.5 inches over the wheel opening here to remove that detail. Also, it's an overlap of about 3 inches here, so that shortens the quarter panel by about 3 inches. It makes it longer from here to here by about 2 inches. Over in this area here, I had to, still working on this, kind of figuring out how I'm going to blend this in, but this is, I took this character line out to blend this back to let this lay on the roof a little bit better. This is not a great transition right now, but I'll have to work that out. Probably pull this piece out more to meet this piece because it rolls in. This one rolls in a little too tight, and then this one rolls in a little too tight, so I have to make some sort of a transition piece maybe. Maybe I'll just cut this whole section out here and just wheel a piece and stick it in up here. Was real concerned about how the window was going to fit here. I want to keep the stock glass of the Challenger, so I'll have to make a trick molding here that kind of hides the fact that there's a serpentine shape at the bottom of the window here, so I'll have to just come across here. But this is a little deeper than I want it to be from here to here, but the way this panel comes down, if I take this in to get closer to the glass, which is more or less, you know, what the rendering has it, then there's a whole transition point here that'll kind of start looking funny. So I have to kind of leave that as it is, and I had to flatten this. I wanted to maintain this area here because this character right here, there's a door handle that fits right in this flat spot here. And if you take this and make this too broad in this area here, then it creates all kinds of complications trying to put the door handle back in. So I use this arc to establish the rest of the arc and flatten the panel out considerably from what it is on a 71. 71 is way out like this, but I needed these to be a little flatter, a little taller looking to fit this car a little bit better. And so that's where that's going right now. I didn't get to do any of this stuff over here, obviously, because I still haven't got the wheels in for the front. They won't be until the end of October at best. Anyway, that's what I got going with this quarter panel. You can see the back here how to this is cut and also overlapped. This is about how much shorter this piece came right off the end right here, so that's how much longer we were. Now I had to put this up here, obviously, because we've got to blend this back into this section over here. But this is pretty much, this lower it's the same as it was stamped out, so there's nothing different here from the 71 in this area. But this will have to be longer from here to here, which I don't think looks bad. It's going to be a little tricky getting the deck lid to lay lower at the back end, because but we've got something to work with here. We've got a pretty tall flange here that the rubber that seals the deck lid up is on, so I've got plenty to work with to cut off here and reestablish this lower. It'll be a little bit tricky, but basically we just got to get the deck lid to drop down lower. We're going to get rid of all of this and build this out to here and make a new land where this is where the deck lid will lay down just on a steeper angle, so it matches the quarter panel. As you can see, the Challenger is higher at the back right here, not by much, probably about, it looks like it's a lot here, but it's only about a ½ inch higher here, and then this is actually higher than the Challenger at this point. I would have liked this to come up a little higher in here, and I still may do something like that with some raw sheet metal, bring this up just a little bit higher so it goes downhill back into this window here. That'll mimic the aspect of the 71 a little bit better, where this goes back downhill and into towards the glass. We'll see how that works out, but yeah, I just wanted to get this here mocked up and see where I was going. It's been bugging me as to how this was going to all fit together, especially this window area. So that's that. Finally, before I end this video, I I just sprayed the front and the back of the bumper with a quick coat of self-etching primer, and that'll just hopefully just hold back the rust, because it's going to be quite a while before I actually get the you know, it's on the card where we're putting real primer on it and so forth and doing the body work. So as a holding action, you know, the stuff comes in a rattle can now, spray bomb. So you get it at an auto parts store, and you know, you can kind of spray it on as you go. Keep the flash rust. This is not a temperature controlled environment here right now, so a little bit of humidity in here, get a little rust on the surface, and it's just annoying to watch it accumulate. So anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.